Yeah, right, we're on. Um, Here we go. Welcome to the 51st episode of the Ski Podcast, which makes us a low risk demographic of catching coronavirus. But it doesn't mean we're not immune for it, and I'm sure we'll pop up and talk about it in this episode like a persistent cough. The Ski Podcast is supported by Switzerland Tourism, one of the finest ski destinations in the world. It's got iconic mountains, well-renowned ski areas, as well as magnificent smaller destinations waiting for you to discover them. It's got innovative ideas like this Magic Pass or easy train travel to resorts. Skiing should be on your list, but for next winter, I'm probably suggesting. Or indeed this summer, you can go in the glaciers if you like. Ian Martin, you're just back from Switzerland. Good morning, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you, Jim. Given everything, as someone who works from home the whole time anyway, my self-isolation is going well.
Perfect. We're also joined by ski journalist Rob Stewart. Where are you, Rob?
I am, morning, Jim. I'm also at home in Herefordshire at the moment, although I should be right now stepping onto a cat machine in Macedonia for my first morning of cat skiing ever in Macedonia. But of course, I'm not there. I'm in Herefordshire.
I'm sure the population's heart goes out to you there, Rob. I'm in France in isolation. I'm in my new recording studio. The guys on the screen can see that it's actually a laundry room. I've been kicked out of my office. And I share it with a guinea pig. And there's probably going to be loads of noises because the children aren't at school. You'll probably hear an argument or some hoovering or something at any moment. So the quality on this podcast could be low. Right, coming up in today's show, we'll be talking about the pandemic. Rob is here to plug something. Why else would he agree to be on this show? Ian has been skiing in Andermatt. I've been digging holes with Dave Burrows. Something has been stolen from Aspen, and Ian will discover if I've read the book for our book club yet. Let's start with some good news. Ian, we've won an award or something, haven't we?
Well, clearly this is the biggest news of the week. We have won an award for the best ever podcast. No, we have been included in a list of the 7 best ski podcasts to listen to. Now, I know we've been included in lists before, but you seem to suggest that they were kind of created by some algorithm, whereas this one has been specifically put together by a website called Rad Season. So there you go. We're one of the 7 best winter podcasts, ski podcasts around, which surely won't surprise you, listener, to hear that.
Well done, us. I'm assuming you listen to the show all the time, Rob, right?
I do, and I'm sorry I just dropped out there because it's I don't know what happened. My internet connection just went. Sorry, guys.
Don't worry about it. You missed nothing. Ian was just telling about how amazing we are. It was the part of the show where we just self-flagellate. It's the good bit.
Well, I'm back now, so hopefully, I don't know what that means. Actually, probably that you're not as good as you were 2 minutes ago. But anyway, sorry.
That's quite all right. Right, shall we talk about the big news? And it's been quite a week in the ski industry and the world as a whole. But I think we'll focus on our small area of what is known as the coronavirus. Ian, what is going on?
What is going on? I mean, it's a cliche, isn't it? But these are strange times. I mean, in the last, I think, obviously coronavirus has been around for a while, but what we saw was firstly Italy closing Lombardy, which was like Bormio and Livigno, and that became quite exciting. And then by the next day, Aosta Valley was closed. Then the rest of Italy. Then we heard about an outbreak in Ischgl by some Norwegian barman. He got the blame for that. They closed all the bars in Ischgl, so that was no good. And pretty shortly after that, Tyrol, Salzburger Land, all the Austrian resorts closed. And then I was in Switzerland getting on a train between Arosa and Andermatt. And I heard along the way that Switzerland were closing their resorts. And then finally, as we know, I think it was 7:00 on Saturday night that the French resorts, were advised to close or told to close.
Yeah, pretty much. That's when the news came out. I'd spent the week panic skiing, genuinely had, because I knew it was going to happen. So I was on the slopes every day going, this might be the last time.
Good work.
Trying to make the most of it. it was a really surreal experience.
How did you find out, Jim, about it? Because it was, on Saturday evening, wasn't it? So how did you hear that, the La Clusaz, where you live, was actually going to be closed?
Well, I've been in quite a few WhatsApp groups with people, spinning out their ideas, Switzerland and stuff like that. And then I noticed at some point in the day I had quite a sore neck, and I thought I didn't stack myself, but I'd just literally been glued to a screen looking down
Right.
for days, just strolling and waiting. I probably got the news about 5 minutes after that they released it. It was pretty much inevitably coming.
There was that little gap between the announcement being made and the ski resorts officially saying that they would be closed. And in that time, I was on a computer, but I do some work for the Three Valleys, and their Twitter was just going absolutely crazy. People saying, are you going to be open tomorrow? Are you going to be open tomorrow? But you can't respond as quickly as people don't seem to understand that you actually need to check with the mairie or the commune before you can make those decisions. Just because they've seen the same speech as everyone else doesn't mean they can say straight away. Where were you, Rob?
Where was I? What, last week?
On Saturday night when you found out that French resorts were going to.
I was here at my desk at home. Obviously, if we look back now and look at the situation we're in, where all the ski resorts are closing down, I had a call on Friday night from a Swiss ski resort to say that they were closing down that evening. That was Crans-Montana, and at the time that seemed not extreme. Understood why they were making that decision, and they felt themselves that they were making very much the right decision at the time, and that was on Friday. Obviously, we were unsure about what was happening in the French Alps at that time. We didn't hear about the French Alps until later on, which obviously was the issue. So I had a call from somebody who knew me and knew that I worked in the industry, and he was taking his family out on Saturday to the French Alps, and he was traveling with a pretty large tour operator, and he was asking for my advice whether he should go or not. That was a very difficult question.
I'm sorry, was he traveling on Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Right.
And he was just asking almost as a personal.
So what did he tell him then, Rob?
Well, from the information that I knew at the time, I said, as far as I know, he'd paid significant money for his ski holiday with his family, and if he decided at that point not to go on his ski holiday, he may very well have risked losing that money. And so I didn't give him. How could I advise him on what to do with his family in this situation? I mean,
so for sure. So he, like a lot of people, then he was in that really unfortunate situation of going out on the Saturday, arriving into resort, and finding out straight away that the resort wasn't going to be open the next day. And and obviously, bar owners and restaurateurs, etc. Basically I saw Tim Wall from Public Ski Lodge with a video on YouTube saying that basically they had 4 hours notice that they, had to close for the rest of the season, which he says is going to cost him €500,000. He runs several businesses, but thinking about it from the immediate point of view, evacuation of those people who'd arrived on the Saturday, out of resort became a real issue. I believe, from what I saw on Twitter.
So
did you see any evidence?
Yeah, I mean, I know on Saturday, for example, I heard that Snow Express, the coach company, they literally put on a coach on Saturday night free of charge to evacuate people from the French Alps to get them back to the UK if they needed to do that. They didn't have any alternative way of getting back to the UK on Saturday night. So that was quite a cool thing. I mean, for me, I saw a lot of criticism of tour operators and the French ski resorts on some social media channels, and I think that's quite harsh. I mean, the tour operators were waiting for the government on Thursday night when Macron made his speech. They were waiting for him to give some very clear guidelines on what to do for ski resorts and those sort of installations, and he didn't seem to do that. His speech was vague, and then tour operators were left in this situation, and ski resorts, I think, were left in the situation where they they just, I mean, we're in unprecedented territory here. You know, they couldn't make a call on whether to close a ski resort or not. It was or close down an operation in that situation. The government is saying business as usual. You know, what do you do? And
yeah, I think that I agree with you. I saw a lot of very angry people on Twitter who were saying, well, why didn't you tell us the day before? But I think you're right, that resorts, obviously, they were working. I mean, I was sending out tweets for the Three Valleys the day before saying, based on the information that we have, yes, we're going to be open. But that was on the information. It's evident in retrospect that announcement would have been better made on Friday than on Saturday.
absolutely.
And Jim, I just wondered, you know, from the point of view of Black Loser, did you seen the evidence of people, British people, stuck there, you know, needing to get out of resort at you know, short notice?
Hey, we don't get a lot of British people, and there's not a great tour operator focus here. And the guys down the road, they've dealt with it really easily. They got their guests out to the airport, and it was all quite straightforward. I think the hardest part for a lot of tour operators, you know, they've been quite straightforward for them to get out their guests and onto airplanes, because, you know, it's always been in the back of their minds, and it seemed to have worked fairly well. But the bigger problem seems to be is getting staff out of resort, because obviously they want them to clean down their chalets. They still want them to, you know, do that shutdown that is an essential part of it. And then they've got to find a way out. And it's been even harder. They've managed to keep them on because, you know, ski people, they could have stayed in resort maybe if they wanted and have a holiday without skiing and stuff. But obviously the holiday they've gone for. Whereas the tour operators go, we can keep the staff, we can get it all shut down. That's cool. And then suddenly yesterday they said you've got until midday before you're all in self-isolation.
Right. Yes, I saw that.
So, you know, people have been just literally putting people on minibuses. Someone's borrowed one of my cars to get home.
Right.
It's been interesting, and also it was really interesting how Macron literally came onto the internet, onto the world on Monday night, and all gave us a massive bollocking for not being well behaved. And I genuinely think he was right, because literally on Sunday, all everyone did is they went, "Oh, the resorts are closed." There were big gatherings. People were building kickers, hiking up, you know, hanging out and going, you know, it's a sunny day. Were really glum about it. It was a proper end of season vibe.
I saw that as well. You know, people just had gone to the supermarket, bought a load of beers, and were just hanging out outside. But the point you make about staff, you know, is in terms of the impact on, you know, tour operators, and, you know, I guess everyone who's got a restaurant, they would all do the same thing, closing down at the end of the season. You know, I remember when I was resort manager, you know, you'd give the staff a certain number of days to clean the chalet, then you'd go round with the chalet manager and inspect them and make sure that they were adequately, sufficiently, you know, clean, etc. And then once that was done, then they could, you know, have a few days to chill out before it was time to go home. And
yeah, the guys who work at our chalet literally went, "We're off to Australia right now." I said, "All right, I'll give you a lift to the airport." What can you do?
What about so I think everyone's back now. I saw a few tweets from, well, they have to be back. What do you think about the impact will be on the kind of British side of the ski industry and the ski industry in general over the short term? You know, because
it's got to be huge, hasn't it? Like we just run one chalet, and we had a load of bookings for April. Airbnb decided to cancel them within within an hour of the announcement, and we lost a huge wedge of future income. And this is just me. There are companies that have clearly lost a month's worth of bookings, and, you know, it's probably the period where everyone's starting to have paid the bills, and then this is the profit period for many companies. I think there's going to be an interesting, difficult time for lots of these companies. We don't know what the individual finances are. It's hard to call. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. I think tour operators, obviously every single tour operator, if we're talking about tour operators, are in different financial positions right now, as companies and as businesses, and they're all looking at this right now to think. And some of them are in. I think some of them are in serious trouble over this. I mean, there's also been some talk and some news around refunds for customers. And I know some tour operators that have just literally said, right, we're refunding everybody. I know some tour operators have done that. We're refunding everybody, whether they were out this week and they had to turn around again within 24 hours or whatever it was. They're refunding everything. I know other tour operators that are not doing that right now, and they're maybe giving vouchers for next season, whether they were out this week or they were out in the following weeks. And I think we'll see how that plays out. I think if people are happy to say, look, we'll support you and we'll come back next winter and we're happy with a voucher, that's fine. I think that there are some people out there that maybe aren't that happy with that, so we'll see how that works. And I think tour operators, it's tough for them. I mean, they haven't, it's something out of their control, and they found themselves in a position where, as you said, Jim, just now, this is the time of the year where they've probably just about paid everything, and now anything else that maybe comes after this is money that they can use for other things, or maybe they haven't even got to that point yet. It's a tough situation for them, and I don't know. I mean, again, the government yesterday was a little bit vague on the packages that they're going to offer the travel industry.
Yeah, you're very right about that. I think the margins are so low for tour operators anyway. I actually looked. Well, I've worked for a couple, but I looked at the accounts of a couple as well. And the profit that they're making on their turnover can be 1%, 2%, 3%. And when you say you take away maybe, let's call it 20, 25% of their revenue from the season, if you're a chalet company, you're guaranteed beds. The chalets that you rent are your biggest cost, and they're not going to get a refund on that. Staff are under contract. So the point you're making about whether companies give a full refund or tell their customers that they need to claim on insurance is a key one, because if they claim on the insurance, it's the insurance companies who are going to lose out, but the tour operator can survive. You might argue that we have, if you listener or someone who's booked a holiday and you get the choice of having a refund or maybe carrying it over to next year, your booking, you can do more to support the industry by carrying over your booking. I mean, my wife and I were actually discussing this just now, because we had a holiday to outdoors coming up. I think, we put down something like £1,700 on the apartment and, other bits and pieces. Now, they've already said to us, look, you can carry that over to next year. But on the other hand, that's quite a lot of money. And like Jim and like other people, I have no idea if my current clients are going to keep me engaged. It's too early to say yet, but of course, if listener, you are one of my clients, obviously you're going to keep employing me. But, if I run a whole load of Google Ads campaigns, which on Saturday night, I pause in the vast majority of cases because they got nothing to sell. Now, if I run their account and, there's nothing going on, why would they continue to employ me? And then we're also in the same situation as Jim, where you do Airbnb here in the UK. And Google are offering people 100% cancellation. So we're missing out on all that money as well. So, I'm in this situation, like you may be, listener, as well, where you're concerned about your cash flow. Should you claim back your holiday, or should you try and claim on insurance? It's definitely going to be problematic.
We need the government to give us guidelines. We need the government to give us guidelines on this. And I think that there has been some criticism. There has been some comments suggesting that the government needs to give guidelines so that people can go and claim on insurance. But I can also understand that if that did happen on the widespread scale that it could potentially happen on, that it would collapse the insurance industry and the banking industry, and we would then be in. Also, that wouldn't work. So the government, the only solution here, the only solution is for the government to step in and be very clear about how they can support companies. And then if they can't support companies, then we will see, we will see companies fail.
For sure. I think another factor to consider is the cash flow situation, because you normally find with ski companies that, as the ski season comes to an end, obviously their cash flow goes down significantly in the period May onwards. Now they still keep their permanent staff going on, and they survive. They get deposits for early bookings, etc. Without that period of income coming in through March and April, that's where the challenge will come. And it may be easier for larger companies to survive because they can downsize. But if you're a small or medium-sized business who has, let's say, 5, 6, 10 staff, then that is a really, really difficult decision to make as to how you're going to kind of get through that period.
I think, if we were facing this challenge in October, for example, I think we'd be really up against. I mean, we are really up against it, but I think that would be absolutely devastating. We are on the tail end of the season. That's one chink of light that we can take from this. The big question now is how long this will last. If this lasts 6 weeks and we're out of the woods and we can go traveling again and we can maybe get out to the Alps in the summer and we are clear about the fact that next winter is going to be fine, then I think we can get through this relatively unscathed. Relatively, we'll learn lessons. We'll have to batten down the hatches. We'll have to, be more efficient and more effective. Everyone's going to need to do that, but we can get through it. We can survive. The uncertainty. Let's say we are 6 to 8 weeks down the line and we still don't know how long this is going to last for. I think then panic is going to set in, and I think that we're going to be wondering how on earth we're going to go forward.
I think the key thing has got to be that from us, the message really needs to be is consumers need to help the industry that they like. If they're with a small tour operator, book early, right? Book now for next year. Help them with that cash flow. If you want to move your booking, offer to move your booking, but be careful that still has huge financial implications, because this means that they've got the money, but it goes into next year, which is a holiday they cannot sell. So be careful of that. If you can afford it, maybe think about splitting your booking cost and say, look, I know this is a completely thing, but have half the booking, refund me half if that's what you want to do. Really think about it. Like for me, myself, the only thing I can really do that will support anybody in terms of this financially is, I'm not going to go and claim my season pass back that I didn't fully use. I'm going to, I know that's a really small thing, but if everyone didn't do that, then the lift-up companies still have that money and they're not going to be forced to refund it. So just really think about the choices you're going to make. There's no point in kicking off about it when it's actually going to impact you personally as well. And, tour operators in a really tricky situation. Should they refund and face absolute hatred from their clients, or do they face going into complete financial pits by giving the refund and giving into peer pressure? So just be really careful, consumer, what your decision is, because it has a big impact. And it's not time to hate corporates now. It's time to actually support them because they do employ people and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. I think that's a great way of summing it up on the coronavirus thing. And I would like to, as we've still got Rob on the line, I know he has to move on, just ask you about something else, because amongst all of this,
and is this the exciting news that actually coronavirus has sorted out one problem and it's resolved Ski Fright Free's campaign to stop flying to the Alps?
Funnily enough, it has occurred to me that emissions have gone down because of that, but it's not the reason that you want it to happen. What I was going to refer to is, amid all of the ski resorts closing, we also had the news that the Telegraph Ski and Snowboard Show Festival, whatever you want to call it, has been cancelled. And that's not to do with coronavirus, because they decided that they're going to stop publishing the Telegraph Ski and Snowboard magazine and not continue with that show as well.
Is there anyone going to step into the vacuum, Ian?
Well, funnily enough, this was the
power vacuum has been created.
Positive news. The first bit of positive news in all of that was that Rob, who's on today, well, do you want to tell us about it, Rob? What's
the story? Well, of course I do. I think, first of all, it was like myself, to hear the news about the Telegraph Ski and Snowboard Festival being cancelled was, was sad. It's an event in whatever guise it's been running for many, many years. Been an event that I've been going to for, I don't know, 30 years or something or more, and every year. And it was sad to hear that go. And I think the Telegraph did a fantastic job with what they were doing in Battersea. It was a great show. It was great fun. And the magazine, it's very sad to see that go as well, of course. And and I'm friends with the guys that work there. So that's that aside. We got our heads together and said we need to do something. We want to do something for the industry. We've got such a fantastic industry, and at that time of year, people want to get together. Not just, industry people want to get together. Consumers want to know what's going on. Consumers want to go and buy things. They still want to do that. And we know the snow centre at Hemel really well, and we know the facility and what they can offer. And what a great place that is, and it just made sense to do something.
So, do you want to actually explain what's going on then? Because Jim and I happen to know, but the listener probably doesn't.
Yeah, that's it. We got sent the press release, so we've read that.
Okay, so we're going to have a show at the Snow Centre in the early to mid autumn period, towards the end of September. The date is yet to be completely confirmed, but it's going to be around that time.
Are you going to call it the Ski and Snowboard Festival?
No, we're not. It's a ski show and it's a ski event, and the name is yet to be 100% confirmed. But let's just call it the ski show right now. Yep. As a working title, as you like. And we will go out to the consumer very soon with this. I'm doing this now, obviously now with you, and talking about it.
Sorry, Rob, are you telling us this is an exclusive to the Ski Podcast?
Well, yes. As Jim pointed out, I have put a release out, a press release, but actually,
as yet, the first podcast you've been on, right?
I could say this is a bit of an exclusive. Yes, Ian, it's a bit of an exclusive as a media organisation.
Yeah, so it is an exclusive. Let's just get that clear.
Throw that in there. So we're really. The reaction we had when we put that out, that release, if you like, out to some of the industry was really positive. Of course, we had a couple of people saying, "Really? Are you sure? Right? In this time, are you actually seriously thinking about starting a show?" Not many, but a couple of people said that, which is fair enough. But of course, working with a venue like Snow Centre Hemel, they have the infrastructure set up in place there. Everything is there. But what we want to do and what we are creating is an event. This is not going to be just turn up at the Snow Centre and you have whatever goes on normally at the Snow Centre over the weekend. We're going to create a whole extra package of activities.
I think that obviously, you can see the limitations of the Snow Centre in terms of perhaps the amount of area, but you've got that whole car park, flat car park area outside, where I believe you're thinking about putting up a marquee or something, and you'll have lots of stands in there. But where the ski show has always struggled is actually having a slope. They try and invest all this stuff to try and they build a kicker and all this stuff, but you're going to have 120 meter slope there. I'm not really too sure how long it is.
120 meters, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So the key things are, that's great. The slopes there, obviously, and we will have freestyle park, freestyle skiers using that slope and doing demos. We will have access to the slope, and these details are yet to be completely put together. But we're going to have sessions where people can go and try skiing. It's the first time we're going to have sessions where people can go and test equipment, that kind of thing. But the key thing for us is that we want to make this really accessible for the consumer. It's not going to be a price point entry to go into this event. People need to turn up and feel that they're getting really good value for money. They're going to have a fun day. And also for the industry, for the exhibitors, we want to make sure that this event is also very accessible in terms of the financial side of things. We have to make sure that especially in this climate, that this is a show that people can say, we can do this. We can do this. It's at the beginning of the season or just before the beginning of the season kicks off. It's a great time of year. We've had a tough few months. And we need to start this winter again, and this is a perfect place to do it. It's not going to, we're not putting. It's not going to be a huge risk for us. It's not. If you imagine putting a show together like the Telegraph did, a fantastic show that it was at Battersea Park. I mean that just to put your foot in the door there, just to put, just to have that space is you're already talking, serious cash. We have a facility that is up, operating, it is running, and wants to work with the industry and wants to be positive about
it.
And it's already got a Snow and Rock.
Yeah, they have a retailer there, Snow and Rock. Obviously, they have a big Snow and Rock store there. And that doesn't mean that other retailers can't get involved in the show.
Obviously not.
In some way. But yeah, there's a Snow and Rock there, sure. Which is great.
Right. How about a festival of skiing and snowboarding I've written down as a potential name for you, Rob?
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I think that's a nice tagline. That's a nice tagline. And when I say the ski show, I'm using ski as a generic term that I think covers.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I've had those discussions before with people, and you're absolutely right to point out that snowboarding is part of what we do and part of our industry, and it's with ski and snowboarding. Let's keep snowboarding in there for sure.
What do you think, Jim? What do you think about the idea of a new show based up at Hemel Hempstead, which is what Rob's talking about?
Seems to make sense. You've got to fill a vacuum, and if people want to go to it, they want to go to it. I think it makes sense to downscale and be more realistic about target audience as well, because they used to say that they got X amount for the door. Hundreds and thousands of those are given away free and stuff like that. So to scale down and be realistic is a great opportunity, and it might start making skiing more a community again when people go there in that smaller way that they once used to do, to hang out and decorporatize it. I think is a great opportunity to do all those things.
I think that's. Yeah, I like that, Jim. I think we have to be. We're not trying to compare this to what happened in at Battersea Park or Olympia or Elscourt. Right now, we're going to create an event that hopefully people walk away from and go, that was a brilliant day. We had a lot of fun. We met some friends. We saw the brands. We saw holiday companies, resorts, whatever, and it was fun. And the exhibitors walk away saying, that worked really well for us. That's all we need. That's what we want. We can't pretend that we're gonna take over the world right now. With an event that's maybe on the scale of what was before. But that doesn't really matter. I think people want to go to something. People want to see. What's happening for the new winter season. They want to see the new equipment. They want to have a good time.
And I think as well, Rob, there's going to be a certain degree of kind of pent up demand after the premature end to this season. A lot of people won't have even been able to take their ski holiday, this winter if they were going out in Easter time. And I think that people, will be fired up for it. And, I'm really trying to work on this in terms of social, bringing together, the community of skiers to focus on the positive side of things. And this is a positive story. So well done to you. And we look forward to going along at the end of September to the Snow Centre in Hemel Hempstead for what was the name of it again, Jim?
The Festival of Skiing and Snowboarding, as I've got here.
Right, the Festival of Skiing and Snowboarding.
Look at Rob's face. He's like, I'm not using that. That is awful.
Brilliant.
That's legally not allowed to use it anyway.
That's great, Rob. Thanks for coming in to give us all of your thoughts about coronavirus and the show.
Before we let Rob go, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Were you in Club Med in December in Val Thorens?
No.
Oh, right, phew. Because for some reason I thought I saw you there, and I didn't say hello because I wasn't sure if it was you.
Val Thorens in December.
Like right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. I tell you where I was in December. I was at the UCPA Centre in Keene. Right at the beginning of December, actually, it's possibly even right at the end of November, stroke the beginning of December. I was in the UCPA Centre in Keene for a couple of nights. I then stayed in a little hotel in Keene for a couple of nights. Beginning of this winter, what a world away we had.
Yeah, it was right.
Powder knee. I'm not exaggerating. We had knee-deep, light, fluffy powder snow for 3 days, and the sun came out.
Bags full of optimism.
What a start to the winter that was.
Yeah. Now you're making all those people, the listener who's listening right now, who was going to go out for their April ski holiday, feeling even worse than they already are.
I'm making the listener excited to think that, you know what, the beginning of December 2020, we're going to be ripping it up in the powder, cool. And we're going to be having a great time.
Yeah, more of the story, book early.
Thanks for your time, Rob. Appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, Rob.
Bye. Right. See you later. Bye.
He's still there. We can't really talk about him yet, Ian. So he's gone.
No, what do I do? I go. How do?
Oh, he's gone.
He's gone. He's out of there. Right, Ian. On with the rest of the show. What have we got?
I think obviously
you've been to Switzerland.
Yeah. Oh, Switzerland. Okay, yeah. I mean, I can tell you about that. I think I mentioned it earlier. I went to Arosa and Andermatt. I went out on Wednesday of last week. I managed to ski one day in Arosa, which was brilliant. I went out with a guide, fantastic area there. Took me onto some off-piste, and most of it was kind of melty spring snow type of stuff, but there were little patches of powder around. And then on the Friday, I took the train over from Arosa to Andermatt. And you mentioned it before about Switzerland in the intro. I mean, traveling by train in Switzerland is such a joy. I had a Swiss travel pass, and the trains are just so good. They leave bang on time. You know, amazing views. That Arosa to Andermatt is part of the Glacier Express route from St. Moritz to Zermatt, and it passes over and through some amazing passes. But during the middle of that journey, I discovered that Switzerland were closing their ski resorts. And so by the time I got to Andermatt, you know, there were no lifts open the next day, but we had a guide booked and he took us ski touring. And then the next day we just went ski touring as well. And I believe in France now, you've been told not to go ski touring. Is that right? The government have cracked down on that as well.
I think they're telling everyone. I know definitely Italy is, and I don't think there's actually a ban on it because you're allowed to go and do activity as long as you're on your own. But I think they're really trying to stress that there's no one around to help you. Like, yeah, all the resources are being rediverted. If you get in trouble, not only are you causing more problems at A&E departments, which are clearly suffering from problems. Also, you know, you could struggle to find someone to rescue you. It's not, they don't want you to, they're just, you know, good luck.
It seems such a shame. I don't know if you've looked at the web.
You broke the rules, Ian.
Well, interesting. I mean, there were hundreds of us ski touring in Andermatt. You know, people all over the place because the train system was still working. So, you know, Andermatt is 1,400 meters. You could get the train up to Oberalp Pass, which is 2 stops on, which is 2,050 meters. And then we skinned up from there to 2,750 meter peak. We did that with the guide and skied off piste. The next day we didn't have the guide, so we just went up the piste. You know, risk-free, so to speak. And in fact, there's a restaurant at the top of Gutsch, I think it's called, at 2,300, which is owned by the Chedi 5-star hotel in Andermatt, and it's one of these really posh Japanese restaurants. And then obviously it was all closed, but the terrace was completely full of ski tourers eating their sandwiches. So that will be a one-off. You know, normally apparently it costs 150 chuffs for lunch there. And then there's everyone, the people with their flasks of tea and this and that. You know, like us, probably grab loads of food off the hotel breakfast. I felt like I was, you know, a kid again at breakfast. We were just like grabbing the extra rolls and cheese and ham and that to make our sandwiches to go up on the hill for the day.
Well, sounds like a good experience. Are we going to hear more about this expedition?
Yeah, I think, and next week we'll probably have a bigger chat about Andermatt because it's a very interesting resort and a lot of things are changing there.
Brilliant stuff. Well, we are quite pushed for time. What should we do next, Ian?
Well, I think the avalanche feature is a good thing because in an environment where people feel like the world is collapsing on top of them, learning a little bit more about avalanches from friend of the pod, Dave, I believe, could be quite useful.
All right then. Well, here it is. This is me in a hole with Dave. Yeah, interesting. To learn the different layers of a snow base. That's kind of a crucial thing to understanding how avalanches come and where they come from by digging a hole and learning the snowpack. But you'll be able to hear more about that because I'm going to put together a whole big episode in the next 3 weeks, and you'll be able to know everything you need to know about spotting avalanches, being in an avalanche, using your transceiver, and all those sorts of things.
I think we're going to include as well the interview that we did with Caroline Elliott, who is has a search and rescue dog, or had a search and rescue dog for Fjord. She talks about how it's trained, and also actually there was a story where Fjord discovered a girl who was trapped in an avalanche. We're going to drop that in there as well.
Yes, I am, Ian.
Yeah, cool. I think that will be a really, really valuable, one-off special. That lots of information in there about avalanches, and people can just listen to it anytime.
You could listen to it as you're touring up, preparing yourselves for the amazing off-piste.
Yeah, perhaps beforehand you might be more useful.
Hey, there's no better time to use an avalanche, learn how to use an avalanche beacon than right when you need it.
Yeah, that's probably covered in the special, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, we've got more exciting stuff. Ian's been talking to well, you tell them, Ian, because I've written it down wrong and it's not right. I've written that is it Jason you're talking to, or is Jason the thief?
Right. You know what? I think we should probably save that one for another episode.
Right, then.
We'll keep the listener in suspense because it is a really amazing story, and I think it deserves to be covered in more detail, really. So I think we have another review, don't we?
Yeah, we've got a review here. I'll read that out. It's from Pat McGuinness. And it says, I listen to lots of podcasts about hobbies and interests. I feel like everyone should have a different voice when I read it out, but I'm not an impressionist. I listen to lots of podcasts about hobbies and interests, and this one stood out nicely because it's laid back style that helps pass the time while commuting to work. Jim and Ian and the guest contributors all come across well with the right balance of British humour, banter, and insight into their respective areas of strength. I'm not particularly sure what mine is, but I'm glad I have some insight. This is not, and then it goes on to say, this is not a deep knowledge podcast. Instead, it's a general overview of all aspects of skiing and snowboarding that gives you a fairly detailed, bite-sized chunks of info that can spur you on to go and do your own research about a range of subjects. He's only found it recently, or she's only found it recently, as they gear up for their Easter trip. I'm sorry about that. But follow our advice. Currently working through the archive of the show, but that's a testament to the good content even when it's out of date, and that's something we purposefully do. We talked about it a long time ago, which is why you should listen from episode 12 onwards, because that's when we started doing that.
You know what, Jim, I think that's a little harsh because I listened to one of our old episodes recently. I couldn't exactly tell you why, and I noticed on the intro where you talk about Switzerland tourism, sponsoring the show, you say, "I'll start from episode so onwards." I'm not going to agree with you there. I think some of those older episodes have got some really good content in, and I think the listener just needs to bear in mind that the production quality maybe isn't the best sometimes.
Well, speaking of production quality, Pat does have an issue with the way I edit it. He says it needs to be a bit slicker. And the overlaps are a bit blunt and jarring. I mean, it's the style I've chosen to edit it in. I can leave bigger pauses if you like. And it says, otherwise, he says it's a really good. You guys have found found our other media outlets, such as My Average Ski, which I've not really updated recently. I've been too absorbed in actually skiing, and Ian's Skipedia stuff. So he looks out towards any future content that we do, which is a good point to raise right now, Ian, because as the ski industry is tanking, if you want to employ either of us, we're excellent content creators. Email Jim at the Ski Podcast or Ian at the Ski Podcast, and maybe we can sort something out for you. That's the review. What's next? Book review.
More reviews. Have you
what?
seen
You kept
that
this one a secret.
that we have a competition?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
running.
I've got a review.
Well, no, it's about reviews, though, isn't it? What we're saying is, listener, give us a review on iTunes because it helps people find us. But to give you an extra incentive, if you have a look at our Facebook page or our Twitter, which are both based, the Ski Podcast, just find us like that, you can see a massive pile of goodies that we're going to give away. Have you seen this, Jim?
I'm just searching it now, Ian. I have no idea what you're about.
Yeah, well, I told you I was going to do it. I mean, basically, I end up going to lots of kind of ski industry events and press trips and this and that. And they always, they give you like a little freebie. And I thought, well, let's share the love. And there's a big list of freebies. I estimated that it's worth about £150. But I might be underestimating that because I don't know how much, whether you buy
Is that a teen tape measure?
No, it's a ski strap for wrapping around your skis.
And I have to say, I got one of those lunch packs from Anzer. They're really good.
So Jim there is referring, listener, to a lunchbox which has a little knife and fork on it. That one's from Outdoors. They're really good, are they? Yeah.
Only beanie hat that keeps my hair warm.
Yeah. Well, we got 3 beanies in there. Some kind of gloves, a buff, headband from Lehman Weir, which is very nice. Some sunnies. Like a bag, an ice scraper, a notebook, a ski zip. Don't exactly know what it is, but it's a brand called Ski Zip. I mean, I guess it's one of those things that you love, Jim, for carrying your skis around, I should think.
Yep, sounds like really good. Can I have that if no one wins, please?
Well, hopefully someone will win, because all you have to do, listeners, give us a review on iTunes before the 17th of April. It doesn't have to be a good review. 5-star reviews are always welcome. But just give us a review and then we'll pick a winner at random and we will get in contact with you and send you out all of these goodies. So if you ever had and you're allowed to give us if you've already given us a review before, you can give us another.
Oh, good. Because I've already given us a review.
I did. Actually, I was showing the kids earlier. I was reading them out I read them that bad review we got where they called us, boring and middle-aged or something like that.
Yeah.
And just to make sure the kids knew that there were some people who like it, the vast majority of reviews are all really positive. So, you say what you think, listener, but put a review on there and you could win all that stuff.
So you're not even in imposed isolation and you're already doing stuff like that. My goodness. I thought reading my reviews to kids was going to be at least week 4. Right. Well, the big reveal, Ian. Drum roll, please.
Yes, go on then.
I haven't read the book yet. I'm halfway through it.
Okay,
like you say, in this, we're going to listen to the clip now.
Yeah.
It could be the longest episode ever. In the clip now, you do say, let's listen to the clip first, shall we? So, Ian, you said there that you were surprised about how much you're enjoying it. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. I mean, I think it's probably because we've read some absolute dross that it's the case. But yeah, it's surprisingly interesting, factual, a great insight, not just into Ernalot, but into the history of skiing. It's
good. I'm really glad you're enjoying it. Excellent.
So yeah, listener, if you want to join in with the book club, you can do that. So you can get the book on the internet, I assume. I haven't even looked at that. Can you buy it in?
Yeah, you can definitely buy it. You can get. I noticed I told Mark that on eBay somewhere you can buy a copy signed by the author, which presumably goes for a premium.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be even better if it was signed by Ernalot herself. Imagine that.
Right, that would be impressive. Yeah. So we'll discuss that in our next episode in number 52.
We do. I mean, I've probably got a lot of time on my hands, to be honest now.
Yeah, exactly.
I could read all the books for the year.
Yeah, same with our listeners. So get that one now before they sell out.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, that's the end of the show.
Okay.
You got anything to add, Ian? I'm not really sure I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. Anything?
Well, all I can think is, if everyone is in self-isolation, then what better way of spending some time than just sticking some headphones in to escape from your family and listening to the back catalogue of the Ski Podcast.
I haven't done that. We just bought some clippers, and Fran's going to already half cut my hair. You can see she's done the sides, but not the top. We thought we'd experiment.
I thought that was just a new hairstyle for you, Jim.
Well, it is for now, isn't it? We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, but listener, wishing you all the best wherever you are in the world, and hopefully another 2 weeks' time when we get together, which will probably be when our next podcast will come out, we'll have more positive things to say.
That's it.
We'll certainly have lots of good content.
All right then. Well, thanks for, and our thoughts are with all our colleagues within the ski industry. This is a tough time. Let's stick together. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye.
Turn this off. End broadcast. There we go.